Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel if you guys are new, and we're so glad to have you here. On my YouTube, I asked you guys to give me like a bunch of questions for back to school, so I'm basically just going to be giving you guys advice and answering all of your questions you had. Don't forget to subscribe down below, and also don't forget to follow my TikTok and my new Instagram that I just created. Speaking of the upcoming back to school season, I wanted to quickly thank today's sponsor of this video, which is Luisa. If you guys have been on my channel for at least the past couple months, then you would know that I absolutely love my Luisa jewelry. I was lucky enough to work with them for the first time about 3 months ago, and I have been in love with their jewelry ever since. So when they reached out to collaborate again, I jumped on the opportunity, and I am so excited to work with them again. So they were kind enough to send over their Hannah bracelet and Eliora ring. One of the biggest reasons I love Luisa is that you can get everyday trendy pieces, but you don't have to break the bank on them. You pay a super affordable price for them, but you don't have to sacrifice the quality of your jewelry. The worst things about buying cheap jewelry is having to sacrifice the quality and having your fingers turn green, and I have never experienced that with my Luisa jewelry. All of Luisa's jewelry is tarnish free, and I did want to give a little update on my jewelry that I've had for 3 months, just so you guys can see a true update on how the quality lasts. One of the biggest things I want to show you guys is this is the new bracelet they just sent me a couple days ago, and this is the one that's 3 months old, and there's literally not a difference in the color. I have also had these huggy hoops for the same amount of time, and the quality is still exactly the same. I also wanted to add that I've been in water all summer, and I really don't like to take my jewelry off when I shower, so these have truly been tested under water and they haven't tarnished at all. I think with the back to school season right around the corner, mine starts in just a couple days, it's super important for everyone to just have everyday basic pieces of jewelry. For me, I'm so excited to have this stack because I feel like I just feel so girly and dainty when I have it on, and I also just feel like their jewelry goes with every single outfit. Again, I wanted to thank Luisa for sponsoring this portion of today's video, and if you guys want to check out Luisa, don't forget to click that link in the description to go check them out, because I promise you, you're gonna want to snag some of their pieces for the new back to school season. Now let's get back to the video. So while I answer questions, I thought we could kind of just get ready for the day, because sometimes I hate just like sitting there and answering questions when I can't do anything with my hands, because as you can see, I like to move them a lot. So maybe you guys can take this chance and we can do our makeup together while I answer your questions. So the first topic that people had a lot of questions about was friends, so that's what we're gonna start with. So the first thing we're gonna start off with is I think a lot of people just want to know like how to make friends. And while I'm probably not the best person to ask that, I obviously do know how to like make friends. I just choose not to because I feel like I'm very awkward and it makes me uncomfortable when I feel awkward. But I can give you guys advice and tips because I know going back to school, it can be really hard to go to a new school or be entering a new grade and not knowing anybody. So I can definitely give you guys some tips. As I always say, with making friends, the most important thing to do is just to put yourself out there. A lot of times I know we get scared because we don't want to walk up to people and then they're like, no, I don't want to be your friend or something. But I promise you, 99% of the people that you're walking up to were probably already looking at you, trying to figure out how to approach you to become your friend. And I also think it's important to realize that sometimes those people want to be your friend, but they have a lot more anxiety than you. So sometimes if you don't make the first step, you guys may never become friends. So it's always important to just put yourself out there. As I said last year in my back to school video, something you can always do like the first day of school is just walk up to somebody and say, hi, my name is, for example, hi, my name is Madison. I think you look really sweet and I was just wondering if I could get your number and maybe we could be friends. It doesn't have to be anything super crazy, but just something to start the conversation. I also think if you're looking for friends, it can be important to look in places that have like the same hobbies or interests as you. Like for instance, if you're interested in art, look in art class and see who you would be interested in being friends with, because it's also very important to be friends with people who have similar interests and ideas as you. Now the next thing I want to go over is somebody was asking me like, I have this friend and she said that she can't text me all the time, so what am I supposed to do about that? So the next thing I wanted to talk about with friends is like creating boundaries, not only creating boundaries for yourself, but also understanding and creating boundaries for other people. Like for that particular comment, there's two scenarios. The friend could be saying it maliciously because maybe she doesn't want to be your friend anymore, or maybe she just is really busy and doesn't have the time to message you every second of the day. And I know that when we have friends, all we want to do is just text our friends all day, but we also have to realize that people have lives outside of being our friends or being in relationships with us. You're also at a pivotal point in your life where you're learning how to be your own person, so it's important to have time apart from everyone, whether that's your boyfriend, your family, or even your friends. So while she totally could be being malicious and maybe she's trying not to be your friend anymore, I think look at it in a more positive light and think that maybe she's just busy doing things that interest her and she can't take up all of her time to message you. And like I was saying, it's also very important to set those boundaries for yourself as well so that you can be able to achieve your dreams without other people almost dragging you down. So make sure you set boundaries with people and just tell them, hey, I can't message these days of the week, or maybe just send them a message in the morning and say, hey, today I'm gonna be busy. Because I also think it's really important, whether it's in a friendship or relationship, that communication is always the number one thing. Because situations like this can happen where you don't know if they're being malicious or if they're really just busy, and if you communicate, it just X's that out so nobody has to worry about anything. Now, I did want to talk about this because this is like a big piece of advice I have and I feel like nobody talks about it. But what I'm going to give you guys advice about is that not every friendship is going to last. I know that personally when I was in middle school, everybody that I made friends with, I was just sure that I was going to be friends with them throughout high school and that we were going to be friends for the rest of our lives and they were going to be my bridesmaids and things like that. And I think we just have to realize that not every friendship is going to last, and that's okay. And not every time a friendship ends does it have to be this like super dramatic or drama-filled thing. It can simply just be that people grow apart and they have different paths to go down in life. And I also think just looking at it from a perspective that if God closes that door, he has more doors that he's going to open for you in the future that are going to be even better and are going to be friendships that benefit you and benefit the other person in bigger and better ways. I just tried these new blush drops that I got from my Ipsy the other day. It is I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, but I think it's Rhode Isle, and it's the Frosted Pink Liquid Blush drops, and they look so beautiful. And it's perfect for that like glowy summery makeup. So I just wanted to say that. So I just wanted to remind you guys that if not all friendships last, it's okay. And it's also okay to break off friendships if you don't feel like you're going down the same path. And I also think one hard thing to learn is if you are in a friendship where all you do is spread drama and talk about other people, that same person or same people who you think are your best friends that you're spreading this drama with, I can assure you they are doing the same thing behind your back. So be very careful with who you're surrounding yourself around because it can really affect who you are and can affect your mental state as well. Friendships are just hard in general. No matter if you're a teenager or you're an adult, they're just hard, but especially when you're in your teen years and you're trying to learn who you are and they are as well, it can be really difficult to navigate. So just make sure that you're always advocating for yourself, and if you feel like the friendship is just not for you, then just end it. Speaking of relationships with your friends, now we're going to go into actual like romantic relationships. The first question that somebody wanted to know is, what is the right age to start dating? Now with this question, I know a lot of people will probably hate my answer, but the best thing I would suggest is to talk to your parents. If you're asking my personal opinion, I feel like now I'm 17 and I just now feel like I'm at the age where I was like, if God led me into a relationship, I finally feel like I'm at like the mature age to have a relationship. I'm going into my senior year and I'm gonna be 18 next year, and I finally just feel like I'm mature enough. But I also think an important thing is to pray on everything. And I have prayed to God that I don't want to enter a relationship unless this is the person that I have a future with, because I just feel like I am a person who doesn't want to waste years on somebody if it's not going to lead anything and it's just going to be a lesson. Also, just make sure to ask your parents and see what they're okay with. I feel like anywhere from like 16 to 17 is a good time to start dating, but that doesn't mean that your parents won't let you date younger. I just personally feel like if you want like a mature, real relationship, that 17 is like a good point to start having relationships. The next question I had was advice on dating, which obviously is a little bit ironic because I've never been in a relationship before. First of all, my biggest piece of advice for my girls is to not rush into anything. I know a lot of people will get in relationships, they'll be in it for like 6 months and then it'll end. And they'll be like, I thought that I found a good godly man, why didn't this relationship last? And it's because God didn't give it to you. You went and found it. And if you go and find something that God doesn't want you to find, then it's not going to work out because it's not in his plan. So I think be patient, enjoy this waiting season and your single season, and just don't rush into anything. And also, when you get into a relationship, I think a really important thing to focus on is just communication. Communication needs to be the key of every relationship that you're ever in, whether it's friendships or actual romantic relationships. If nobody's communicating how they feel or what they're going to do, people can't read your mind. And I think that's a big thing that people need to realize as well. People cannot read your mind. You have to express how you feel if you want somebody to know, or otherwise they're just not going to know. So make sure you're always staying in communication with your significant other. Now we're gonna go into our little girl talk session where the girls had a couple of questions to ask me. So the first one was how to handle body insecurities. I want to say that having body insecurities, first of all, is something that everyone's going to go through, and second of all, is going to probably be the hardest thing that you ever go through as a teenager. Body insecurity was something that I started experiencing at a very young age. I wouldn't really say this is TMI, but I did start to develop a lot younger than other kids. I literally started wearing a bra in the 2nd grade, and that was really hard for me because no other girls my age were experiencing the things that I was. And I also felt like naturally, hormonal boys, as always, just kind of gravitated towards me, and that honestly made it worse because then everything I did depended on how other people were looking at me. I mean, if we just want to talk about a few instances, the first one that I can ever remember that I feel like really just affected me was obviously because I started to develop younger than other kids. I believe I was in 3rd or 4th grade, and I was wearing, I remember it was this Superwoman tank top, and I didn't know how to shave yet, and I honestly hadn't even realized that I had hair on my armpits. And I remember I lifted my hand in class, and this boy went, "Ew, what's under your arms? Don't you know how to shave?" And I remember I just immediately pulled my arm down, and I was so embarrassed because he said it in front of the entire class. And it's hard because things like that, other kids, when they're young like that, they don't even realize that it's affecting you, but it can be really detrimental to your mental health. And I remember another instance, I was in middle school and I had this pair of, I specifically remember Cat and Jack jeans from Target, and they were these super skinny jeans. They were from the kids section. They had rips in them, but they had patches over them so I could wear them to school. I just remember that in middle school, these jeans barely fit because obviously you are growing, and I didn't realize at the time that I was growing in a way that everyone's growing. You have to eat, your body's growing, but I literally would barely fit into these jeans, and I would wear them every week because I wanted people to see me as this super small skinny girl, and I didn't want them to know that I was gaining weight, which I wasn't even gaining crazy weight. It was literally just regular weight that a teenager gains. And it's things like that that I look back and remember, and I'm just I wish I knew how beautiful I was, because I look back at pictures and I was actually so depressed and insecure at the time, and I'm just I wish I knew how beautiful I was back then. I think the best way to deal with it is, first of all, if you're ever having any issues or you're ever feeling sad and you need someone to talk to, you can always come here. I'm always here to talk to you, no judgment. I'm saying this next thing in knowing how hard it is, but you have to remember that other people's opinions cannot dictate how you feel about yourself, or you will hate yourself. You have to learn to love yourself for the body that God put you in, because you don't get another body. You don't get another chance at this life, so why would you spend your entire life hating it? Because like I've said before, we're gonna get to 80 years old and we're gonna be wow, I really wish I knew how beautiful I was back then. We're gonna be so upset that we didn't love ourselves. So instead of putting our energy into hating ourselves, we should just put that energy into being positive and being in touch and in love with our own bodies. The next thing somebody asked was my first period story, and I have shared this so many times, I'm honestly not even embarrassed to talk about it anymore. But obviously I'm going to share it again because I know that this can help a lot of girls not feel alone. So I got my first period in the summer of 4th grade. And honestly, I just remember the first night I got it, I was not feeling good all day. And then I think I went to the bathroom and saw that I had started my period. I kind of knew what it was, but we hadn't even been at the point where we were talking about that yet. That didn't even happen until 5th grade. So I was super scared to tell my mom, even though I feel like me and my mom have always been very close. I felt like it was super embarrassing. You guys have to remember that it's not embarrassing at all. Literally every woman gets it. So I hid it from my parents, and they ended up finding out, and my mom was like, "You don't need to be embarrassed." I literally wrapped up toilet paper and used that as a pad. So my mom took me to Walgreens and we got some pads, and she literally just told me to not be embarrassed and just to not keep it from her. So I think that's an important thing for everyone to remember, is just to tell your parent, no matter if it's your mom, your dad, your grandma, you have to tell them, because you have to get the necessities that you need. The next thing that I did want to talk about is things that you should pack in an emergency hygiene bag. Now, as somebody that started their period very early, I think that a hygiene bag is something that I wish I would have had in elementary school. I don't think it's ever too early to start carrying one of these. This is honestly just the bag I have sitting on my vanity because I just got it, but you can use any bag. I like to use Ipsy bags because I get them every month, so I have like 1,000 of them. But like I said, I would recommend getting one of these, and the top things you should have in there, number one, I recommend like a pad, a tampon, whatever you're comfortable using, and then also a panty liner for if it's just light bleeding. Also for accidents, I do recommend carrying like a change of underwear in a plastic bag. And I also think it could be nice to have like some Advil or Midol in there for if you start cramping or just not feeling well. I also, if you guys have tried them, I haven't, but I'm pretty sure they're by Midol. I want to try them. They're like the heat patches. If you guys have tried those and you like those, I definitely recommend doing them because I think they last up to like 8 hours and you just stick them onto your stomach. And it's basically kind of like a little heating pad for when you don't have a plug. And I also think it could be nice to just pack in there some like regular hygiene, like hand sanitizer, deodorant. It also might even be nice to add in like a toothbrush and toothpaste because we all forget sometimes. Those are all the things I can think of, but I think having like a little hygiene bag is so important because like I said, we all forget things, we all have emergencies, so it's just nice to have that within reach. I also think sometimes it can be really embarrassing to like go to a nurse to ask for something, so it's nice to just be prepared. The next thing that I was asked about was tips for freshmen. Because I do online school, my tips might not be the same as somebody who does like regular in-person school, but I feel like I can still give you guys like pretty good advice. The number one thing, and I know it's cliche, I know everybody says it, but be yourself. Because if you go around and you make friends or get a boyfriend by being this fake persona, it's going to wear off eventually. It's going to start taking a tax on you, and it's going to be a really hard fall. And high school is hard enough. The last thing you need to be focusing on is like putting up this persona for other people. My next piece of advice is to really, really cherish it. I thought when people said, you know, really enjoy high school, it goes by really fast, that they were joking, and I'm like, it's 4 years, like it's gonna go by pretty slow. I am going to be a senior in a week, and my mind cannot even fathom that. I feel like I'm 12 years old and I'm still in middle school. So cherish every moment because it is going to go by in the blink of an eye. I know that when you're in high school, your counselors are so pushy about like, what are you going to do in college? What are you going to do after you get out of high school? And I just want to tell you guys to just take a breath and don't worry about it that much. As somebody who's a senior this year, I have probably changed what I want to do after high school 30 different times. While I feel like I'm pretty set on being an OBGYN sonographer, I also would really like to do social media, and all of this stuff can change within a blink of an eye, so don't worry about it too much and take everything day by day. Lastly, my piece of advice would just be do all the things you want to do. If you want to start a YouTube channel, if you want to be in art, if you want to be in the band, you want to play football, do everything that you want to do. Now, these last two questions are kind of random ones, but I thought if somebody asked them, I should answer them anyway. So the first one was my age. I know a lot of people just want to know like basic information about me, so obviously my name is Madison. I'm 17 years old and my birthday is May 3rd, 2007. Like I've said probably 1,000 times in this video, I am a senior and I'm graduating in July of 2025. I also know a lot of people want to know about my driver's license. Yes, I got my driver's license. I got it in March of this year. I also know a lot of people are like curious about where I live. I live in Texas and I live in like the DFW area. The last question I really loved, and it was, what is my dream PR package or like dream brand to receive PR from? Immediately when I read this question, I knew that my answer was going to be Rare Beauty. I actually have tried to get on their PR list and they told me that they would look into it, but that was like a year ago, so I don't know if that's going to happen right now. But if I got a PR package from Rare Beauty, I would probably cry on the floor because I love Selena and I also love what her brand and herself stands for. Because I feel like we're so similar in that way. She's really big about mental health, and mental health is something that I really advocate for, so I think it'd just be wonderful to work with her. But I am eternally grateful for all of these smaller brands that send me PR and that give me a chance. Literally on my vanity, I have one of my letters that Fiona sent me because I still cannot believe that one of my childhood YouTubers sends me PR. That was all of the questions that you guys had for the video today. Thank you guys so much for submitting all your questions, and I hope that I answered all of them to my best ability. And as always, if you guys have any more questions or you need anyone to talk to, you can always message me. Again, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. And also don't forget to follow my other socials. They'll be right here and also in the description below. Again, I wanted to quickly thank Luisa for sponsoring today's video, and if you guys want to check out any of the pieces that I got, or maybe you want to get some new back to school jewelry, don't forget to check the description box down below so that you can check them out. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I love every single one of you. Bye guys!